Episode 31 of the Marketing That Grows Your Business show. I'm excited you're here. And as you're coming in, just give me a shout out where in the world you are. Today, we're going to be talking to a very special guest about how do you work the room in COVID times. I mean, kind of like that concept, because I think a lot of things have shifted because of COVID, and, connection and, speaking at live events is no longer as readily available. So what do we do as entrepreneurs today to get more visibility online? So that's what we're going to talk about today. If you are interested in that, then you are in the right place. If you are brand new and have never been on one of my live shows before, just drop in hashtag new. I'd love to wave and say, hey, meet you. For those of you who are oldies but goodies, welcome back. For those, again, that are new, let me introduce myself. My name is Kim Garst. I'm an online marketing strategist. That just is a fancy term for saying I love to help people grow their businesses, specifically make more money in their business using digital and social media. So if you are interested in making more money in your business, again, you're probably in the right place, because that's definitely my jam. I've been around a long time, almost 30 years online. That's a hard thing to say out loud because it doesn't seem like it's been that long, but it's true. So one of the things we do every week is we do some giveaways, and this week is no different. So we're going to give away a couple of things in the way you win. Good morning, Paul. I'm so glad to see you. I hope you're feeling better. I know you've had a rough go of it lately, so I hope you're doing better. One of our giveaways is this ring light. So you can pop this right on your phone, and you'll have a great little light source for your selfies, or if you're in a dark place, you can always take some great photos, because now you've got a light source, no more darkness. We're also going to give away one of these, which is it's a cute little thing, but what in the world is it, right? It's basically a webcam cover, so it fits over your laptop camera so that nobody can spy on you. And this is a big thing, evidently, these days. So, who wants to be spied on? Nobody. So hopefully you'll win this little contraption, or if, stop using the piece of tape or the sticky. I'm guilty. So the way you win, guys, is you drop in your aha moments. So hashtag aha. If you hear something that's like, oh my gosh, that's so amazing, I didn't know that. Just drop those aha moments in, and we'll pick winners at the end of today's show. So stick around, because if you are a winner, you'll want to make sure that you're here to know what to do. All right. And know that you won. And let's see, the other thing that we give away each and every week is our special sponsor this week is easel.com. And Easel is giving we picked 3 winners of a 3-month trial for easel.com. Now, what's easel.com, right? Easel is a graphic design tool. It's very similar in many respects to Canva, for those of you who are familiar with Canva. But I think one of the things that is very different in the context of, which one do you choose, or do you use both? I personally use both, but I would suggest that if you are not a great designer, then easel.com is your preferred choice, because their templates are stellar. Like, I'm a design snob, so when I say they are stellar, they are. Absolutely. They have a graphic design team on staff, and they create all of their templates in-house. So it's not, just random people creating templates. So you have some really great choices to choose from there. So we're going to pick 3 winners for our sponsor, which is easel.com. So you guys, if you are interested in a great graphic design tool, drop in those aha moments, because you could be a winner of a 3-month trial of, actually, it's not a trial, it's 3 months. You get the full thing for a total of 3 months. Okay, so we're going to do something fun before we bring our special guest on. Last week, we did kind of a meme thing. It was I had a picture of I don't even know what the picture was, but anyway, it was a meme, and we were, of course, matching up text for the meme or the photo. This week, we're going to play a game called I Should Have Known That. And this is a cute little game. We're modifying it slightly to make sure that we can play it online, since we're not all sitting around in a circle and, playing it in a traditional way. So this is how we're going to do it. I'm going to ask 4 questions, things that you should know. And if you don't, that's okay. No judgment here, because there was a couple, maybe one that I didn't know when I looked at this card. So I picked a card, just a random card out of the pile, and I'm going to ask 4 questions, and you get 8 points for every right answer. So if you drop in your right answer, and we give you the right answer, we'll give you the right answer after a few moments of everybody guessing the answer. And if you get the right answer, you get 8 points for the right answer. And once we've gone through all 4 questions, you tally up your right answers. And if you get a wrong answer, you have to subtract 8 points. So basically, if you get a wrong answer, you cancel out one of your right ones, okay? And then honor system at the end, if you drop in however many points you get, and we're going to pick a winner for my How to Create a Profitable 5-Day Challenge course. It's a brand new course that we just rolled out. It is, let's see how many lessons. It's like 9 lessons. It's currently, if you want to learn more about it and want to know for sure that you want to participate in this, you can go to kimgarst.com/challenge. You can see all that's included in it. But we're going to be giving away, or choosing one winner for that. So pulling up the first question. The first question is, are we ready? Is everybody ready? Okay. I should have known. How many pieces does each player have at the start of a chess game? So what do y'all think? How many pieces does each player have at the start of a chess game? That's question number 1. Give everybody just a minute. Actually, we won't give them a minute. Let's just do like maybe 20 seconds or so. So how many pieces does each player have at the start of a chess game? I need a little timer. Okay, so next up, what is the box for storing cigars called? And while you guys are answering number 2, the answer to number 1 was 16. So if you chose 16 as the answer to how many pieces does a player have at the start of the chess game, then you were right and you've got 8 points, okay? So kind of keep a tally of this. So what is the box for storing cigars called? All right. Okay. All right. So that gives you guys a few minutes. Well, not a few minutes, a few seconds there to answer that question. I need some music. I'm gonna have to come up with some music. All right. So the answer to what is the box for storing cigars called is a humidor. So if you got that answer correct, a humidor is the answer, then you give yourself 8 points, okay? All right. And you subtract, again, if you didn't get it right. Subtract 8 points if you didn't get it right. All right. So next question is, how many stomachs does a cow have? Ooh, think about that for a second. So how many stomachs does a cow have? I'm going to make my own music. All right. All right, 10 seconds, 20 seconds maybe. So how many stomachs does a cow have? All right, the answer for that is, I can't see everybody's responses, so we're going to have to, hopefully I'm giving you guys enough time. 4. So a cow has 4 stomachs. So if you guys got the answer correct, give yourself 8 points. If you got it wrong, you could be in the hole. So next question, last question. So we only had 4 questions. The last question is, how long does it typically take for an alarm to go off again after the snooze button is hit? Ooh, so those of us who hit the snooze button every morning, how long does it typically take for the snooze button to go off again? Anybody know? So this is actually good to know, because interestingly enough, this is not something I knew. I should have known it. Again, going back to I should have known this, but I just didn't. So it'd be interesting to see how many of you guys have it correct. All right. Seems like I'm going to go over. Let me try to do something real quick. It looks like I'm going to pull up. All right. And now we're just going to randomly pull a winner based on, oh, wait, no, first up. Okay, so now that this is a new game for us, obviously. So now that we have gone through all 4 questions, you guys tally up your total. So that means the total, how many questions did you get right? If you got all 4 right, you would, of course, have 32 points. So whatever your total is, drop those in underneath. And then we're going to pick a winner from those. So somebody is going to win the 5-day profitable challenge course. And I don't know if you guys have noticed, but challenges are happening all over the place. Being able to conduct your own challenge could be an amazing way to grow your list and create an environment for your buyers that you can ultimately sell into. I don't know about y'all, but challenge having a group of your potential buyers at your fingertips is obviously a great thing to have, right? So knowing how to put a challenge together could be incredibly value-based. So I'm excited to see who won. Who won? All right. We're still picking a winner. I'm waiting on the team here to choose somebody. So you guys bear with us for a second. And while we're choosing the winner, so Caitlin got to 24. You go, girl. And while we're choosing the winner, let me go ahead and introduce you to today's special guest, guys. Like I said, we're going to be talking about online visibility and how we can get in front of the right people. And that's going to be a fascinating conversation we're going to have with a very special guest. So we're going to pull up, introduce you guys to her, and then bring her on in so that you guys get a chance to know and learn from her. So Amelia is a digital native who officially became a practitioner of online marketing 12 years ago with a role as a virtual assistant. Student loans from nursing school inspired her to put her love of social networking, observing human nature, showing empathy, and previous marketing experience to work in new ways. And as a result, she was able to pay off her student loans in under 2 years as a social media manager. Definitely a girl after my own heart here. So now, alongside other roles, you can find her helping under-recognized, again, love this, under-recognized professionals stand out, articulate their unique value, and get first dates in business so that they can become thought leaders in their industry while maintaining the work-life harmony. I love that she says harmony instead of the work-life balance. That's such a better way of saying that, I think. When she is not optimizing human potential, Amelia enjoys planning real and imagined food tours. Ooh, that's a conversation right there, right? So you guys put your hands together for Amelia. Welcome, Amelia. Hey, girl.
Hey there, Kim. Hey, thanks so much for having me.
I'm so glad you're here. I'm really looking forward to this conversation. So now that we're, we call it COVID times. We're all living in COVID times. Um, how has that impacted your business? Has it impacted your business any?
A little, it has. I myself met a lot of people who wanted to get more visible by, networking in person, going to chamber meetings and whatnot. But now I am spending more time actually following what I've been telling other people to do. And it's so much easier to tell other people what to do than do it yourself. But in any case, been doing more of that. So, but yeah, that's sort of how it's impacted.
That's so awesome, and you're so right. I find myself sometimes stopping and saying, "Okay, what would I tell somebody right now?" And then going and doing it because it is hard sometimes to do what you tell other people to do, even though you know it's the right thing to do. Sometimes we don't even do it. So it's an interesting point. So let's back up for a second and talk a little bit about your journey in space because I know you're a nurse, right? And first of all, I'd like to just say thank you for your heart and your service, and especially, if I'm not mistaken, you're still working as a nurse, right?
Yeah, during a few days during the week, I definitely have a case management role that I do, and it's really fun to help people get visible in a different way. And I realized that connecting people with resources that they need to survive and thrive was something that I love and find fun. And entrepreneurship is in my blood. So how I ended up doing this with helping people with collaborations, it's kind of funny how things worked out. But entrepreneurship was in my blood, healthcare too. But yeah, there's lots of us out there who have these, slash careers. We're therapists and we're jewelry makers, and it's really cool how the two could kind of blend together.
Yeah, and I think it's just interesting because lots of times when we are in a traditional job, we start the side hustle, right? And then the side hustle becomes just much sometimes more of a passion project than even the job does. But like I say, I really appreciate your heart for people because you wouldn't be able to facilitate both roles, like being a nurse and being an entrepreneur who serves people trying to get more visibility and finding those collaborations if you didn't love to help people. So I just want to honor that real quick. And for those of you who are listening, obviously in these COVID times, it's dangerous out there, and it adds another layer of, I think, heart centeredness that Amelia showcases because she puts herself out there and in more ways than one, in these times these days. So Amelia, from the perspective of how things have shifted during COVID times, do you feel it's different now trying to get online visibility than it has been in the past?
I think it's different in the sense that more people are realizing that being visible online is a non negotiable. The sense that I got when I was, pre COVID was that it was a nice to have, right? Learning how to take conversations from social media contacts to the phone, that was like a nice to have. A lot of things were still going on belly to belly. Deals were closed over lunch and dinner and such like that. Now I feel like learning how to move relationships along at the pace of relationships in a digital forum, that's sort of what's changed. I think more people realizing that that's a skill set that they need to learn sooner rather than later.
And I totally agree. I love how you shared that, like because it is a journey. In the past, we had kind of like I would call them strategies to get people to a place, get them on the phone, right? That's always been kind of the bigger intent if you're selling something anyway. So, but from a perspective of just backing up for a second from the sale, why is even visibility important? Like, and can you explain what visibility means? Because I think a lot of people think, well, what does that mean? Is that do I do a podcast interview or, so what is visibility from a brushstroke perspective anyway?
Well, my definition is visibility is about whether or not people can find you when they need you. Like, can you be seen by the people who need what it is that you have? Visibility isn't about being the loudest or brightest or shininess person in the room. It's not about that. It's about being super clear, almost like a beacon or like a lifeguard or a life vest. It's bright orange, but it's not because orange is like the most, is like, well, I'm wearing orange, but it's not because it's like super sexy, right? A lifeguard and, the tube that they throw out is like, it's not brown, but it's something that, stands out so that people can associate that with surviving and thriving. So for me, being visible is more about being clear and how you help and serve so that other people can find you and recommend you to people who need to be served by you.
Such a great answer. So that said, let's talk about the messaging because I think that's so you talked about it being clear and being found when somebody needs you. So do you have like a I don't know, I don't want to call it a formula, but I think a lot of people, I think that's where they're broke, honestly, and it's something that I've even struggled with for years is how my skill set is broad. So how do I narrow it down to something that is going to like attract the right person? Do you have any tips or strategies for people that are struggling with their messaging?
Yes, and we all get nervous. I relationships are relationships, whether it's a dating relationship or whether it's a business relationship. We all get nervous about, what do I say to that person? And, how can I be interesting or seem interesting? And, it's all the same. So a model that I love, a framework that I love, it's not my own, but it's from Donald Miller's Building a Story Brand. So the story brand framework, the one-liner framework specifically, if you were to Google it, you can find videos where he explains it. I think there's like a couple different 30-minute videos, goes super in depth, but pretty much it starts with the problem, the problem, the pain that you solve. What's the solution, that you offer, and what does success look like? So it's a very quick way to take people through a story. Humans, the way that we're wonderfully designed, we love stories, and stories that open with a problem, open a story loop in our head, and we're kind of curious about, there's a problem. Yes, I agree. And what next? How can that be resolved? And when you use that framework, talking about the problem that, that many people struggle with, whatever it is that you help people with, the solution, it could be your service, and then the result, what things look like after they have this resolved. That's a very easy and quick way to start to figure out the messaging piece.
I love that. And I love Donald Miller. He's like, that's one of the things we're getting ready to roll out my rebrand. And we have poured over, gone to his workshop. I mean, all of it. So we're like, my team is like, I am my operations manager has probably read his book like 3 times. So we're big fans of Donald Miller. So it was so fascinating to hear you say that. But going back to the formula, do you have like an example of like, a lot of times when you go to somebody's website, if people don't know like what's in it for them, they're gone, right? So do you have an example, like maybe even use your own, of a succinct statement that follows that formula of Donald's?
Yeah. So mine has my own touch to it, but many CEOs struggle with scaling and keeping their sanity. So what I do is I help people come up with a visibility project plan that allows them to both nurture and not neglect visibility opportunities. So it starts with the pain. Lots of people want to scale. They want to, expand their professional visibility. However, with that comes all of the things. Sometimes they have, so let me back up. So just the first part, this is not all of what I say. Well, all of what my one-liner was the first part. I'm just explaining that.
Yeah.
But in any case, but yeah, so a lot of folks that want to scale, but their pain point is they're kind of struggling on the back end. And because of that, they don't feel comfortable getting more visible. They're like, well, what am I going to do if I have all this other stuff? So I address that in my one-liner, and also the nurture and not neglect. A lot of people who have done collaborations or went for, maybe being pitched on podcasts or doing JV webinars, they sort of neglected those collaborations, again, because there wasn't a structure in place to keep those relationships going. So I touch on that sort of happy ending part as well.
Oh, great. I love that. So I think that's one thing, just going back, if you guys are struggling with your messaging, and you're not quite sure how how you show up, and who you help or who you serve, maybe going back, and listening to how, Amelia explained Donald's formula, or go buy his book. Donald Miller's book is, or go to his workshop. All of it is really good. He's really got a really structured formula for figuring this stuff out. So just throwing that out there real quick. So Danette says, yes, being visible online is non-negotiable. I love that. That's going to definitely be a quote from Amelia now. We're gonna make her famous for saying that. So let me ask you, for those who are listening today, what is the first step perhaps to getting visible? Like, how, obviously beyond the messaging and, doing the prep work, but like, what is something they could take action on today?
It's making a decision to get curious about the pain point of the people that they are serving. I do my best work with people who are introverted leaders, and they're open-minded as well, but they really don't necessarily want to be the loudest one. And when you really tune into and choose to care about the pain, and literally what's keeping people up at night, the other part of it that kind of makes you hesitant with becoming more visible as a solution provider can kind of go away when you really take time to think about and get invested in and do, put on your glasses and get into nerd mode about the concerns and challenges that people are struggling with. To me, that's the first step. And then once you're like really, really super clear on those challenges and the impact, showing up and solving those problems and addressing those problems and letting them know that it doesn't have to be this way. There's another alternative that can almost even be enjoyable. Almost, for some people, even be enjoyable.
Well, I resonate with that because I'm an introvert. Lots of times people say, "What? You're not." So I say I'm a social introvert because I love people and I love helping, but I'm definitely an introvert in the sense that I have to step back and sometimes force myself even to put myself out there. It takes energy, to put myself out there. But for those introverts that are listening, what you just said there at the end, where you were talking about, it can almost be enjoyable. It absolutely will be if you'll just press through that. Like it's not about you. Well, I can't do that because I'm a little bit scared. If you'll just press through it, there's amazing things on the other side when you really see the impact you're making, and you can that you're making a difference for someone else. If you'll just embrace that on the front side and know that you can do it, then amazing things happen on the other side. Is all I'm going to say. So once you've just determined what those pain points are, like how do you go about solving them? Like, from a visibility standpoint, what's next after that?
Sure. So is it okay if we talk about like how to use it for like a collaboration purposes?
Oh, yes,
Or is
absolutely.
that
Any
coming?
strategies or
Okay.
tips you have? What's the
Okay.
next thing? Like, I know there's like several roads that you can offshoot on. So whichever one you want to take.
Yeah. So I have a couple different frameworks for that. The one I think I will talk about is nurse, right? So when you nurse, or it's an acronym. So N talks about the needs. What are the needs of your best clients and partners or people that you want to collaborate with? Um, U is tools. What tools are they using? What tools are they using? Are resources, where are they congregating around to have this problem solved? And what does success look like for them? And then evaluate the plan. So once you do that, that can help you to start to, one, figure out where they're all gathering around to have their specific pain point addressed. And once you do that, you'll start to see folks that you can start to collaborate with. And a conversation can be more natural. Hey, so and so of this Facebook group, podcast, live, whatever. You know what? I noticed that your audience seems to struggle with blah blah blah. I'm somebody who helps in this specific way. Do you think that could be of service to your audience? And I don't want to say it's like that easy, but in a way, it kind of is. But that can be the first few steps to start to get visible.
Okay. So, circling back just to, sum it up, kind of, you determine what the pain points are, and then where those people that have those pain points are congregating or getting their information or whatever. And it's kind of like a fill in the blank, honestly. It could be somebody's got a great Facebook group, or it could be a podcast, or it could be an online summit or whatever, right? Okay, so you figured that part out, like this person has my ideal person in their Facebook group, or they have a podcast and they serve my person that's got I know those people have my problem or have this problem that I solve. Then what's the next step? How do you go about getting the attention of that influencer or person, or whoever has that community of people that you would like to get in front of?
So there's a few different ways to do that depending on who that influencer is. There is another method. I love methods and frameworks and processes. I think that's back to my healthcare background. We don't just go and do stuff. We always follow a process. So yeah, so that's why I guess I have them. But in any case, so there's another framework that I love called the Dream 100 Effort. And it's talked about in The Ultimate Sales Machine, a book by the late, great Chet Holmes and Slash. I think there's like a renewed versions coming out soon. But in any case, talks about how to go about getting on the radar of influencers. And I recommend people to set out like 3 to 5 like A, B, and C list of influencers. You got your, A list who are A list, and you got your B list who are, maybe a few, steps ahead of you. And then you got, your peers. And there are benefits with, going after each of those different types of folks. However, if it's an A list person, that can take more time. That can take more time to start to develop that relationship. And you might want to, take a class or two from them, and, maybe be a star student and blah, blah, blah. That can take some time. But a closer, or I guess a lower hanging fruit could be the B and C folks. And so that could be as easy as filling out a form on their website. They take podcast guests, and what you do is you fill out that form. So it can depend. Time to start to develop that relationship, and you might want to, take a class or two from them, and, maybe be a star student.
Okay, did we lose sound there?
Yep.
Okay,
I'm here.
okay, I can still hear. All right,
Yeah.
I thought we had lost sound. My bad. Okay. That was such a great answer. And, I was thinking as you were talking about, the three different kind of categories of how you break things, your people or the connections into categories of outreach. Um, let's talk about like just collaborations. Like, if I think there's a lot of collaborations that can be immensely valuable, and I'd love your opinion on this. If you're just getting started and you're trying to collaborate, might be a better way of saying it, with your peers. Have you seen some amazing things come out of like peer-to-peer collaborations?
Yes, absolutely. Especially for those who are in a niche, I guess. So I had a client who she's in improv. She does improv, and helping people appreciate the impact of that skill set can be challenging. And she does improv for disasters, right? So what our plan looked like is connecting her with somebody who was in the safety industry. So he was in the safety industry, had a safety summit coming up, getting people who are all interested around having emergency preparedness plans. And guess what? The conversation looked like, hey, I noticed that you're interested in, serving this audience around this particular topic. Here's somebody that's expert on that topic. And this person who was hosting the summit, he wasn't like the Gainer Vaynerchuk. Sorry, he's not the Gainer, the Gary Vaynerchuk of his particular industry. He's not. Maybe he is now. I don't know. But in any case, long story short, he's not. But he was somebody who had a level of influence, and had email lists and contacts and know, like, trust around a particular topic. That was a great I guess a great parallel or a great strategic partner for somebody who was on a peer level with him.
Awesome. Yeah, I've seen such amazing things come out of peer-to-peer collaborations because if you and digging into that just a little bit, if you connect with somebody online who's on the same path you are, maybe their skill sets are different than yours, and if you can match up with someone like that, sometimes collaborations can be very, very fruitful and profitable ultimately. So when you find somebody like I know you let me ask this question from the perspective of do you just help people learn how to increase their visibility, or do you also have a service that matches them up with the right people?
Sure. So, yes, to both. So during our intensive, this is where we talk about, we go over their messaging. We talk about the type of collaborations that might be interesting to them based on the goals that they have. And then based on that, we do map out their first five and develop pitches for them to send out. If they are too busy, or if somebody on their team, is more skilled with maybe following up part, I do provide help with sending out pitches and following up, and then adding more people and more people to their database or to their outreach list. But it's one of two things. It's like they either like have somebody on their team that can implement the plan. They might have someone on the team who can implement the plan with support, and the CEO may not feel like being the one to support that person, and that's understandable. Or they just want my team to implement, execute, and, get their, calendar link and tell them when to show up and what to say.
I love it. So having a structure around the outreach is important too. Let me, because I get outreach all the time, and it's a little bit of a sore spot for us around here because nobody seems to do it right. So I would love it if you would talk about that because, like, is there some things you should do and some things you shouldn't do? So I won't give my 2 cents until I hear what you have to
Yes.
say.
Yes. So first of all, so 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 a lot of people say like, okay, Amelia, like how is what you do different from like a PR firm? And my approach is that a couple things. I feel obscurity is a disease, and I feel like no one should do this life or business thing alone. So because of that, when I'm making outreach to somebody, again, I'm super curious about their needs and their pain points. You know, a cursory look can even tell you, do they take guests on their show, right? Do they have a process of securing, guests? If they do, follow the process. Oh my goodness, follow the process. Um, if you're curious about whether or not they even accept guests, that's a beautiful answer. Or question to ask is like, hey, you know what? I've admired your show. I really love the work that you do, and we serve a mutual population. I'm just curious, what is the process for serving your audience? And keep it about that, not the process. Like, what's the process for coming on and talking about my book? Don't say that. But be curious. What is your process? For that. Um, and again, if they do have a defined process, um, just reading goes such a long way. But I say leading with the servant, leading with the curiosity, leading with the specific way that you can help them has also worked. People have told me, have said, you know what, usually I don't take pitches, but you mentioned a few specific ways you can serve my audience. So yes, absolutely. So specificity goes a long way as well.
Yeah, and I think for me, I'll just say, because literally, I probably get 25 to 30 outreaches a day, and it's always about them. It's never, almost always. It's amazing that the outreach, nobody is really, I mean, hint, hint, there's such a need for people to teach outreach alone. I mean, like that's a whole niche. Like, is how do you do this right versus doing it so awful and so wrong? So I love that you said, really keying in on how you can help and assist instead of saying, hey, I need a backlink in your blog that's going to benefit me, or hey, I'm going to come on your show because I've got a new book, or hey,
Yeah.
it's go approach it from the perspective of a servant based heart, show up with that, and I think you'll get way more response than if you make it all about you. That's just my personal take on it from having seen both sides of it. So I love that you approached it from that same perspective. So thank you for that.
Yes.
Not only just validating the process, but personal experience. It's a little bit annoying when everybody's just got their hand out. So anyway, and I love
Yeah.
helping. I love helping. But again, it goes back to that intent. I think goes a long way. So when it comes to shifts in how visibility is obtained today, there's a lot of, obviously in the past, if we were trying to get on somebody's stage, for example, those were live events, but there's other stages in the online environment today. There's shows like this one. There are podcasts. There are live summits. There's a lot of live summits these days. So, is there a different process in your head for outreach for those types of situations where you're technically trying to get on somebody's stage?
Um, so yes, in a way. So with associations, associations are still going on. They still need folks to come in and teach their, folks about a particular topic. So that's more straightforward, I feel, because they do it all the time. It's just an email that says, pretty much what it is you're representing to your group is good enough, typically. With podcasts and people whose business is their personality or personality based folks who have a podcast and such, um, you need to show personal interest. You need to show that you see them, and you need to show that you care about them and how they serve their hard earned audience, because oh my goodness, they've worked hard to build up their audience, right? Typically. So that approach to an association versus an approach to a podcast host, yes, it would be a little different. And same with, approaching like a mastermind host. There's so many mastermind groups and lots of people who have masterminds of various sizes. They're all also looking for, experts to come in and teach their audience, as are some course creators. There's lots of course creators out there who talk about, a very broad topic, but they too need experts to talk about specific things that can serve their audience in a unique way that they don't touch on, or don't really like to talk about a lot. Like, the online marketing industry is so niche. I'm not niche. It's so vast, right? It's so vast. But an online marketing expert could not love talking about Facebook ads. They could do it and do it well, but they may not want to have a complete course or a dissertation in their program about it. But if that's your thing, that could be an amazing collaboration for you.
Oh, such a great example, because that is definitely me. Like, yeah, I could probably teach you enough to be dangerous with Facebook ads, but I don't want to. Yeah, no, no. So you're exactly right. I think that in the bigger picture, honestly, for all of us, and I love that you specifically talked about masterminds, because there are a lot of those, and they are absolutely looking. And there's a lot more interest these days, too, with course creators. Specifically, even I would call them large course creators, people who have large audiences that have realized that, and I'm speaking from personal experience here, who realized they can't be expert in all things. The online space is very vast, to quote you right back. And you just can't manage to know all of it. To the degree that you would want to, and then bringing in people who have specific experiences or knowledge bases can really enhance a course. So there's opportunities there, I think, and that goes back to a collaborative environment too. What kind of collaboration can you form with people who are serving your ideal person? So think about that, just planting that seed a little deeper, because I thought Amelia brought up a really good point there. Um, are there any what I would call new trends happening right now, maybe a byproduct of the COVID times that are happening that you're seeing that you'd like to share with everyone?
Sure. So, new trends that I have seen is that I really love is people who have been doing brick and mortars, um, parlaying their skills into the online world in interesting ways. We have, event planners who are teaching people about how to set up, drive-by baby showers and those types of things, and people who are starting to think about how to planned, safe, socially distanced events. There are still needs to help with figuring out the logistics of stuff. And again, event planners can be expert in that. People in the beauty world, even though some of them are starting to open back up, seeing them choose to market their services and offering courses and classes and Zoom walkthroughs about how to take care of ourselves and stuff like that. I've found that to be fascinating to watch, those who choose to embrace change in a way, and even though it's forced change, but to embrace using their expertise in different ways. I've enjoyed watching that.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. I saw, it's just fascinating to watch people's ingenuity and the people that are willing to your point, you know, pivot. I mean, that's really what a lot of us have had to do. And I would be curious as, if you guys are watching, um, share how you pivoted in COVID times. I would love to hear your stories a little bit and see, because I think there's a real need for us to embrace change, because that's the only a sure thing in life that is change. But I saw this one woman that had cut a slot in her door and was doing manicures and nails for ladies during COVID times. I'm like, that is genius. So I guess they would have to sanitize their hands, and then they'd stick them through and she'd work on their hand. And, I just thought that was just pure genius. Obviously, that's a different it's obviously a brick and mortar example, but all of us have had to shift. I've seen people that taught people how to get, how to get speaking gigs. Now they're teaching them how to, get onto online summits. So a lot of things have had to shift. Some people have shifted, and some people, and they're thriving because of that. I had a guest on once, I had her on twice actually, talking about, she was in the financial services space. And then when the PPP loans came about, she made a whole pivot to educating people on PPP and how they could manage it. To your point, there's systems for everything, right? So she had a course on how to get your PPP loan, and she had a course on what to do after you got it. Again, brilliant. Like, again, it comes back to, we have to learn how to pivot. We talked a little bit about introverts, Amelia, and I think a lot of people that are introverts are perhaps a little bit more reluctant to step into what they would traditionally call visibility, but do you feel like that most anyone could embrace this if they are open-minded enough, even those introverts, those of us who are introverts? Do you feel like visibility can be something everybody can do?
I do, because I feel like as humans, we were designed to show up and solve problems for other people. That's what I feel. And there's all sorts of types of visibility. I'm not, suggesting that, if you are desperately like me, if I am an introvert as well, I will probably need to take a nap later on today. But if you are an introvert, I'm not suggesting your first visibility action should be hosting your own online summit of one. I'm not suggesting that. For you, it might look like a podcast where, you don't have to worry about being seen. You just have to use your voice to talk about how you enjoy solving the specific problem. So, there's levels. Yeah, there's levels and ranges, and there's different entry points as well. That's something that I've seen too, more so in COVID times, is that, there are different entry points. There are, the online summits, there are the podcasts, there are large, platforms, there are smaller platforms. So when you're just starting out, you may not want to try to, maybe get on the largest podcast, and not that that would necessarily happen, but you know what I'm saying. You might want to try the podcast that's, only has a few episodes, and, it's okay if they decide to fade in a couple weeks. You just want to get the practice, right? You're just sort of flexing your own visibility muscle, right? So I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, I love that you talked about flexing your visibility muscle, because you can start small. It doesn't have to be massive. Sometimes it's not necessarily even podcast or showing up on somebody's live show or whatever. It could also be things like, contributing to a blog post, or, some other ways that you could showcase your visibility. Another way that doesn't hurt any of us, by the way, is to keep that comment up, if you would, please. And then is to jump into Facebook groups that are serving your ideal person and just answer questions. Just start to showcase your expertise. So anybody can do that. So just start to show up, and I can hear some of y'all are saying right to yourself right now, but what if I say the wrong thing? Maybe I don't know enough yet. All right. So I gotta smack some honeys around this. Okay. So sorry, I can't help it. I know that's probably not politically correct to say, but everybody knows something that someone else doesn't, and people build upon what you say. So don't shy away from what you know, is what I'm saying, or think that you're not value based enough to contribute. Because if you don't value what you know, neither will anyone else. You've got to step into yourself, people, and not let your fear factor get in the way of the rest of your greatness. Okay. So Kathy is saying, teaching others, this, I'm assuming Kathy, this is her shift, by the way, because I've seen Kathy do some shifting. So her shift has been teaching others how to speak, do online summits, learning Zoom, how to pitch to companies, etc. So many opportunities for the online scene. Yes. Kathy has done some really interesting pivots. So
Yes.
And if you guys need, she's a I always have trouble saying caricature. That word doesn't roll off of my tongue very well. But she's an amazing, talented artist. If you guys you should definitely connect with Kathy if you aren't already. So we need to pick some winners, guys. We've been having trouble, it seems, with the show on the comment side of things. So my apologies for that, but we're going to pull up the winners. We're waiting. So while we're doing that, though, so the quiz game winner is Caitlin. Yeah, or Katyan. Sorry, I hope I said that correctly. Goodness, I always get that wrapped around my tongue too. So congrats on that. If you will send us your mailing address, please. No, your email address. We'll need your email address. I was thinking physical product, but no, we'll just need an email address. So if you can click that little message button up at the top, one of those corners, my fingers never know which one it goes to. There we go. There we go. Over there. The send message. If you'll send us your email address, we will get you set up and get you the course login for the 5-day profitable, how to create a profitable 5-day challenge. Okay, so that, and while we're waiting on that, Amelia, and we get all these winners pulled up here, will you share where people can connect with you?
Sure. I would love to connect with you over on LinkedIn. I'm there as Amelia J. Roberts, and please let me know that how you found me. I'm also on Twitter and Instagram as @rn_solutions, and Facebook too. But in any case, on LinkedIn, I'm trying to spend more time over there. So yeah.
Such a great choice too. I recently had Guy Kawasaki on the show, and I asked him where he was spending the majority of his time, what social network, and he was talking about LinkedIn, and it just makes perfect sense. It yet is one of those platforms that I've not loved as much as I probably should, but I'm spending more time there myself too, so I totally understand that. All right, so other winners. Danette is the ring light winner. Danette, I'm so excited for you. So you won this little handy dandy little eyeball thing. It's super cute. So if you'll send us your mailing address, we will get that out to you. And Alicia Mayo, Kathy Nolan, and Dawana Mensa, I hope I said that correctly, Dawana, are the easel winners. 3 months of easel.com. You guys are going to love it. And then Paul won did we already choose a webcam cover winner? Did we get that messed up? Whichever one I said, we'll get it straight. But regardless, whatever you won, send us your mailing address. If you won easel.com or the course, we just need a email address for you guys. But anybody that won the physical things, we got to obviously have a mailing address to send it to you. Okay? All right. So do we have any questions for Amelia that I didn't ask or didn't get answered? If we do, pop those up here. I'm so appreciative, Amelia, for you coming on and sharing your genius with us. Thank you so much. It's been fun. All right.
It's fun. Looks great. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So it looks like we don't have questions, but if we do, Amelia, if you want to pop back into the comments later and see if there's any, or I'll tag you one way or the other, we'll make sure that if there's any questions, we'll make sure you get a chance to answer them. All right. Well, thank you for being here, sweetie. Really appreciate you. And all of you that have been here with us live and even on the replay, thank you guys for watching and tuning in. Take care of yourselves and stay safe, and God bless.
Thank you. Take care.